All right. Ready to rock and roll? If you are, say hoorah. You came here to be bestsellers, right? Wrong. You came here because of what a best-selling book will do for you. I know, that was a trick, wasn't it? I just walked you right into that. Okay, and it really is actually what the book's going to actually do for you, because the point is your best-selling book will probably not make you a millionaire, okay? Now, it's done that in the case of people like, I don't know, J.K. Rowling or maybe John Grisham, okay? But for you, your book is designed to get you onto the charts, get you the notoriety that you want so that it can open the door to almost everything else, okay? And so through this process of helping hundreds, at this point probably thousands of people write and publish books and become best-selling authors, Mike and I have identified 12 reasons to write a book. And I'll tell you the reason why we came up, why we decided to start this training with this training is super important, which is we always end up with this question, okay? It goes like this. Someone launches their book, someone promotes their book, they get to be a best-selling author, we celebrate, we have a big party, and then there's a question that comes right at the end of the party. Do you know what the question is? So what do I do now? Okay, and the answer to that question is you go off and you get what you wanted the book to give you in the first place. Sometimes that's money, sometimes that's connection, sometimes that's influence, sometimes that's fame. Okay, so I was like walking around in between the segments, and I was looking at some of your computers, and I saw somebody had written because of my book, and it said, I want to be on Oprah. How many of you would like to be interviewed by Oprah Winfrey sometime in your life? Yeah, okay. How many of you would like to be on the Today Show? Okay, so that's an intention. That's something you maybe want your book to be able to create for you. Some of you want access. Some of you want to be able to meet celebrities. Some of you want to just be able to pay this month's mortgage, okay? Some of you are like, man, I got a credit card statement, and I'm looking at my bank account, and I'm looking at my credit card statement, and the number on my bank account is lower than the number on my credit card statement, okay? So some of you just say, hey, I'd like to make a little bit of money. And so I'm going to talk you through some of the reasons to write a book. Now, I've published so far now 5 books. 4 I actually wrote myself and became #1 bestsellers, all 4 of them, actually all 5, and I'll share those with you for a second. But anyone who's ever seen the books that I've published would probably think that I am a schizophrenic maniac, okay? That's probably because perhaps I was at one point a schizophrenic maniac. I'm just kidding about that. But here are my books. So back in 2008, I wrote a book called Fighter Pilot Performance. This is the book that I called my 98-page book my 50-page book jammed into 98 pages, okay? Wrote it. I took 5 articles that I had already published on my website, blogs. I put them into a book. I edited them, put an intro, put an exit, put a cover on it, and published the book. This was before Amazon. You could publish things in 2 days. I ordered 3,000 copies of that book. 3,000. A truck came with a pallet and dropped it off in front of my house. There are still books in my office. Okay, that was 2008. Okay, there are still books in my office. Okay, and so that was way before we knew how to do what we did. But I've made money. I've made thousands of dollars off of that book, and I'm going to show you how. How would you like to be able to walk in to a speaking event just like this and have 100% of the people buy your book and walk out the door with your book? Would you like people to do that? Okay, I'm going to show you how to do that in a training that's coming up. I just recently did this and made 7 times 30. What's 7 times 325? It's like $2,300. Something like I made $2,300 in addition to a $9,000 speaking fee simply because I had a book. Okay, so there's a reason to write books. That was one of the reasons I wrote it, because I wanted to have something when I was coming in to speak. Now, I wrote a second book called How to Turn Clicks into Clients. How many of you would like to get speaking events and high-ticket consulting deals because of your book? Okay, I wrote this book to get into speaking events in front of attorneys that ended up getting $15,000 to $25,000 clients at $1,500 or more a month simply because of the book that opened the door. Okay, so this book was written not so that I could sell the book, but so that I could use it as a credibility piece to get myself inside the door. Okay, then I wrote this book. This book is called Warrior. Some of you have read this book, and I'm in the process of redoing the cover on this book right now, which I'll explain why I do that in just a minute. But this is a Christian book. Okay, it was just written for people. I'm a pretty devout Christian, and I believe in standing up for what I believe in. And so this book, 288 pages, I wrote this book in 7 days of typing. I didn't transcribe it, and I sat down, and I am not a good typer. I'm like 30, 40 words a minute, maybe hunt and peck, and messed a lot of stuff up. I was like the content for this book just poured out of my heart. Okay, this book, I have no desire to make money off this book. None. I go speak at Christian churches, events. I'll drive there. I'll fly there. I don't care. I'm happy to speak. I'm happy to share my information, give away my book, and come home. I got plenty of ways to make money. okay? And that book wasn't one of them. I put it on Amazon for 99 cents because it's the lowest I can make it, and I put it for $7.70 on paperback because it's the lowest I could make it. I just wanted people to read the book. So I had a mastermind group. It was me, Mike, Darren Hardy, publisher of Success Magazine, Eric Berman, okay, who used to run Brian Tracy's entire business, actually still does. Some of the biggest names in San Diego, 25, $50 million companies. I walked in one day 4 years ago and said, I'm writing this book. It's a Christian book. And they said, what do you want to do with it? I said, I want people to read it. They said, no, what do you really want? Like, what do you really want out of your book? And I said, I want people to get the book, I want them to open it, I want them to read it. And they said, no, what's your back end? Like, you're going to have events, you're going to have coaching, you're going to have some sort of follow-on thing that they can buy a product or something. I said, what I want them to do is I want them to get the book, then I want them to open it, and then I want them to read the book, okay? And that was the whole purpose of the entire book. And so there was a difference. So you see, reason why, totally different. Totally different. Then I helped write this book. Okay, now, I have no idea, by the way. All of a sudden, I decided to get into fishing. I have no idea why. I didn't intend on that. I decided I wanted a hobby. If you know me, like kind of go from one thing to the next. It's part of my personality that I've embraced. This is a good thing, not a bad thing, okay, depending on the perspective. But the bottom line is I decided for a few years to get into fishing. And so like a dysfunctionally stupid entrepreneur, instead of just enjoying a hobby, I decided to make a business out of a hobby, okay, and sold thousands of dollars worth of this book with this guy that I met on a forum online teaching people about how to catch fish in California, okay? #1 best-selling book. I ended up on Fox TV on a fishing show. I'll show you that in just a second. Okay, so just saying, you can use a book. Let me just tell you this. You can know nothing about something. Help someone write a book about something, and then the next thing you know, you're on national television. Okay, I'm not even joking. That's actually possible. And then the fifth book, Mike and I wrote, it was a consulting book, and it helped us launch a product that was called Top Gun Consulting. Okay, now just recently, I took that first book and I rebranded it. I wrote a new title and a new subtitle, roughly the same content. In the middle, I updated it just a little bit, okay, and rebranded the book. Now, a little bit better. There it is. Would you agree that that cover is a little bit better than that cover? Okay? So I want you to think about a book like a website. Okay, don't think about a book. That previous book, how many did I order? 3,000 copies? Do you know how long you have to... I had 2 spelling errors in that book. Okay, and I went and spoke one day, and somebody came to me and said, hey, Ed, I just read your book. He went up to his room, half hour, came back down, had finished my book. He said, I just read your book. I go, I know, spelling error, right? And he goes, yeah, it's in I go, I know, page 49. And he goes, I know you're like a perfectionist, and so that really bothers you. I go, dude, I got 3,000 of those books in my office, and I'm not changing that word until all 3,000 of those books go out of my office, okay? And so I still haven't changed. I changed it with the new one, okay? But here's the point. Nowadays, your book is more like a website than it is actually like a book that you have to buy 3,000 copies. So if you want to change the cover, you know how long it takes on Amazon or on CreateSpace, which is the publishing service that we use for paperback? Do you know how long it takes for your cover to change? Maybe 4 hours, maybe at the most 24 hours. You know how long it used to take? Months. And then the palette would show up with the new cover, and you're like, oh gosh, I need to change it again. If you want to change something on the inside of your book, you know how long it takes? I don't know, upload the document 2, 4, 7 hours. I don't know how long it takes, but it's just like a website. Okay, so let me ask you a question. On your website, do you wait until everything is perfect and perfectly brand represented? Then you launch your website. People start to use it, and they're like, hey, this button does, I got to make sure that button. You start to build and change, okay? And so the benefit with a book is sometimes good is good enough. Right? So we love excellent books. We launch excellent books. We love things that are brand representative, but at the same time, we love things that are done. Okay? And so part of the process is getting it done and then getting it the way that you want to get it done. All right? So now, grab a pen, write these down. There's 2 key categories to write a book. The first is profit and the second is passion. It's super important that you know why you're writing a book, because if you don't know why you're writing your book, you will be gravely disappointed. I'm just going to tell you, you will be extraordinarily disappointed because you don't know what the objective is. You always begin with the end in mind, as Stephen Covey used to say, okay? And so you start by figuring out, what is it I want to do? Do I want to make money, or do I want to share my message? If you come to me and you say, people need to hear this fitness message, okay? I will ask you this question, which is, do you care about making money with your book? If you say to me, no, I just want to share this message, then I'm going to come alongside of you and help you share your message. If you say to me, I want to make money with the book, but you've got this, everyone in the world needs this product, but I know for a fact that it's not going to sell, I'm going to encourage you to come up with a new book or a new book title that is going to sell. Okay, that's the reason why I'm going to ask you why you want to write your book. One of my clients came into my office. And just like everyone who's a coaching member, we got some of you in the audience actually right now. You come in, you spend 5 hours with me, typically sitting in my office in San Diego. We build your entire business and get you profitable if you're not, or we get you really profitable if you already are. You leave with a game plan, okay? One of my clients came into my office, and he had a passion for sharing on a certain topic, a passion. And I said, hey, Kevin, he had a multi-million-dollar set of chiropractic offices. Okay, and his name is Kevin Laszlo. Some of you know him. And he came in and he wanted to launch this book for personal growth. And I said, look, dude, here's the deal. If you want to really make money with your book, you've got like thousands of people on a mailing list. You've got the chiropractic, write a book in this niche, sell it, and do your events here. And he said, no, I want to share this message. And I looked him in the eye and I said, I got you. But just so you know, this isn't the thing that's going to make you a lot of money. This is going to make you a lot of money. And he said, no, this is what I want to do. And I know this is going to make me money, but I have a burning passion to share this message. We spent the rest of the coaching day helping him share his message. Now, incidentally, he ended up making a bunch of money with this message too, but it wasn't what he would have made on this one, but he made that decision. Are you with me on that? If you are, say hoorah. Okay, so it's not always one or the other, but a lot of times you're going to have to make that decision. And for the most part, we start with profit. So the first reason to write a book is simply to make money with your book. That's like selling the book. That's what I did with this book. So for example, like the speaking event that I did, and I'm going to talk to you in a future training on how to word this, but I got paid a check, and then I sold this company an additional set of books that they bought from me and paid me extra for my book, which is always nice. So for example, if somebody sent you a check for $2,350, would you take the check? Okay, would you take it to the bank and put it in the bank? If when you got there, would the person at the bank tell her, say, why did you get this $2,300 and 50 check? And you're like, well, I just went to this training and then I launched a book and it became a bestseller and then a bunch of people bought my book and then I got this check and they're like, that doesn't sound like very hard work. You can't put that check in this bank. Do they ever do that? No, what do they just take the thing, runs through the thing. That thing that the check runs through doesn't ask how you made the money either. Okay, they just run it through and then it's in your bank account. Right? Okay, so that's one of the reasons to write a book. Number 2, reason to write a book is to build your list and following. This is always a really good reason to write a book. In fact, our friend Darren Hardy wrote this book. If you look inside of Compound Effect, how many of you read Compound Effect before? Great book, right? Okay, Darren's super smart. I've certainly read it too. He's been in our mastermind group for a while. Okay, very, very good book. And he used this book to build a several 100,000 person list in addition to his speaking. Reason number 3 is simply credibility or authority to position yourself in the marketplace. That's what I did with the lawyer book that I mentioned, How to Turn Clicks into Clients. That's what Nido Cobain did. One of my favorite stories about Nido Cobain, if you know him, CEO of Harvest Bread Company. He's the president of High Point University, super influential guy and great speaker. He wrote a book because he wanted to target, he picked 5 CEOs, some of the biggest companies in the world. And he wrote a book specifically for those 5 people. Didn't say it in the book, but he wrote a book that he knew would resonate just with those 5 people. Wrote the book, sent it to those 5 people so he could get them as clients. Could you write a book for maybe one person just to send it to them so that you can get your foot in the door with them? Are you starting to get some more ideas about how you can get in? That's success-minded thinking. The difference between I'm writing this book for everyone and I'm writing this book for these 5 people who can each pay me $100,000 in a consulting deal is a completely different story. Okay? Reason number 4, positioning within a marketplace. I told you the story about this book. When we first started out with this business, we were trying to target attorneys. I'm going to tell you some more of the story in a future segment. When I was trying to target attorneys, we were trying to get to the Bar Association, which is where attorneys go to learn. We used to call the Bar Association, and they would always say stuff like, well, we're booked out through 2016, but give us a call in January, and we'll try to, which basically was them saying what? No, that was them saying no without saying no. I just wish people would say no. They never say no anymore. They always say, well, we'll see what, okay. And so they were saying no. As soon as we had a book, we would call, hey, we're the #1 best-selling authors of the book, How to Turn Clicks into Clients. We're going to be on a book tour. As a part of the book tour, on a speaking tour, would you like us to come in and speak? And the answer was 95% of the time, if we got on the phone, the answer was yes. We did one speaking event in 1 year. We wrote a book. The next year, we did 48 speaking events. Because of what? Because of the book, okay? Because of the book. So there's another reason. Number 5 is to connect and get in front of key influencers or celebrities. So I wrote this halibut book, or helped this guy write the halibut book, launched it to become a best-selling book, launched a website, ended up getting in to know the guy who runs a show called Inside Sport Fishing, which is on Fox. Okay, emailed him, ended up doing an interview with him, which, by the way, is a great strategy if you want to connect with celebrities and influencers. Hey, could I interview you for my book? You know what the answer to that's probably going to be? Almost always going to be yes, okay? And then, next thing you know, he called me and said, hey, I want to do a TV show with you. And this is what happened. Is there audio on this computer?
Marine F-18 fighter pilot Ed Rush, along with Doug Kern, owner-operator of Fisherman's Landing Tackle Shop here in San Diego.
That's a fish I caught.
The waters of the bay for Big Halibut.
On TV, by the way.
Oh, yes! Woo! That'll work. Welcome back to Inside Sport Fishing. I'm Michael Folkson.
All right. Hey, by the way, if you're like totally against fishing or hunting or something like that, I respect your views. Please don't take that as a political statement. I'm just showing a picture of me on TV, okay? It just so happens it was me on TV doing that. All right, so could you get on TV with your book? Yes, you can, as long as you do it the right way and do it the way that we tell you to do it, which is kind of becoming a theme of this event, or to help someone else. So the guy, Michael, who owned Inside Sport Fishing, the show on Fox, had a book. I asked him, hey, how's the book going? And he emailed me the same thing everyone emails me, which is, Ed, to say that this book has been a disaster is an understatement. And I said, would you like my help? I'm happy to help you become a best-selling author. He said, yes. We ended up doing a deal together, and next thing you know, his book, Perfect Bait, which is actually a fiction book, a steamy, romantic fiction book, becomes the #1 best-selling book simply because of what we're about to do over the next 3 days. Okay, so certified professionals, raise your hand again in the back. Every single one of the people who are raising their hand right now, are getting paid to help people do the same thing that we're doing over the next 3 days. Would you, perhaps, if somebody gave you $5 or $10 or $15 or $20,000, by the way, those are real numbers. I'm not making any of that up. These are real numbers. The folks in the back are more than that, actually. Some of them in the back are getting paid to help people do what we're doing over the next 3 days. How many of you would take the check of $20,000 to help someone do this if you would raise your hand? Same question, would they ask you at the bank? $20,000, the thing goes through. Would they ask the question? No. What happens? The check goes in and it goes into your bank account. Okay, so the encouragement there is as you're spending time on this training, yes, launch your book, but at the same time, figure out how the process is going so that maybe you can make money doing that, okay? We don't charge a royalty. We don't charge – you get to keep all your money if you want to, okay? So why not turn it into a business? Now, I'm going to move into the passion side. This is the not money-making side, but there are reasons to write a book on the passion side. Okay, reason number 1 is to share your message. I already told the story about this book, Warrior. All I wanted to do, I just had a passion. I just wanted to share my message, okay? My goal for this book is to sell 50,000 copies. I thought Purpose-Driven Life sold 30 million copies. What did I say, 50,000? No, 50 million copies. Purpose-Driven Life sold 30 million. I said, well, I could probably do better than that. So I said I want to sell 50 million copies. That's not that hard. There's 316 million Americans. I figure I could get 50 million of them to buy it, okay? And so that's still my goal. I'm not quite there yet. Not really close just yet, but we're going to get there. Don't worry about it. Eventually, we'll get there. All right, reason number 8 is just to share your story. Some of you have a story, a survival story, cancer story. Maybe you've got a story of your kids that you want to tell, and you just want to share your story. That's a perfectly good reason to write a book. Okay, reason number 9 is to express your creativity. There, frankly, are just some times where you just want to be creative. You want to write a novel, you want to write poetry, something like that, and you just want to share your story. Is there a great market for you to make a ton of money sharing your story or expressing your creativity? Probably not, okay? But there are some. Sometimes some books just hit, and then you can be successful. That's not necessarily what we're going to focus on in the training, but you certainly can do that. Like, for example, I just found this book on Amazon. I like the title of this. I Wrote This Crap for You, okay? I don't know how many he sold, but I'm like, I like the title. I'm glad he wrote that book because I think that the title was kind of funny. Okay? Reason number 10, sometimes you want to help people out. So one of my favorite authors is a guy named Steve Brown. Super great communicator if you've ever heard him online. He writes books, and when he started writing books, he went to a lawyer, and he signed a legal document that said all of the royalties and every bit of money that he ever makes from his books, he donates all of it to charity. The reason he did that is he said, I always wanted to write books to help people, and I never wanted to write books thinking, how can I make money off of this next book? How can I make money off this next book? And so he did it to keep his heart clean and pure. By the way, not that making money is not a pure good thing. I'll talk a little bit more about that tomorrow. But the point is, he did that so that he could always help a charity out, which is another reason that you might be able to do that. Okay, this is my favorite book title of his, which is What Was I Thinking? Things I've Learned Since I Knew It All. Okay, that's like the story of my life right there. All right, so reason number 11, we're almost there, is just for fun. Sometimes you just want to write a book just because you feel like it, okay? And reason number 12 is to help someone out, but reason number 6 was to help someone out to get paid for it. Reason number 12 is to help someone out just because you feel like it, okay? So here's a quick recap of our reasons. On the left-hand side, these are all the money-making reasons, and for the most part, we're going to assume that's why you're here. It doesn't have to be, by the way, and it's perfectly acceptable if not, but we're going to encourage you over to the left-hand side to pick one. Make money, build your list, credibility, positioning, connect, or help someone. On the right-hand side, you've got passion, message, story, creativity, charity, fun, or to help someone out, okay? Is that helpful? If it was, say hoorah. All right, and that is 12 reasons to write your book. Thank you very much.